You drive past it all the time, maybe on Shara Faisal or tucked away in a bustling commercial market in Lahore. A shuttered storefront once buzzing with energy, now completely dark. But taped to the inside of the glass is a sun-bleached grand opening banner, torn at the corner. If you are a young Pakistani professional pouring your evenings into a side hustle or trying to consistently build a portfolio on the PSX, this image is your absolute biggest fear. Because here is the chilling truth about failing. Nobody ever hangs a grand closing banner. Nobody throws a goodbye party for the day they finally stop believing in their financial freedom or that startup idea they were obsessed with. Quitting doesn't happen with a slammed door, a dramatic speech, or a sudden lack of willpower. It happens silently, in the quiet space between one ordinary Tuesday and the next, until the lights just go off for good and nobody can even say when the decision was actually made. Section 1. The Motivation Trap. Why founders and investors really quit. But here's what nobody realizes until it's entirely too late. We are constantly sold this pervasive myth that giving up is a character flaw, a shortage of grit or hustle. But people don't quit because the work gets harder. Think about mile 1, the launch of your startup, or the first week of active trading. It is chemically engineered to feel euphoric. Your brain is flooded with a novelty dopamine rush. But then we hit mile 6, month 18. The repetitive friction sets in. The thrill evaporates, the scenery stops changing, and the applause completely disappears. So, this brings up a massive question. If motivation is biologically guaranteed to vanish by mile 6, what actually carries the successful ones the rest of the way? Everything changes at this exact point. Most ambitious professionals feel the excitement fade and falsely conclude the goal itself must be wrong. They mistake fading excitement for a signal to stop. Section 2. The identity shift. Moving from action to belief. Okay, let's dive into this. To answer that question, let's track 2 hypothetical young investors starting their portfolios on the exact same day with the exact same amount of rupees. Suddenly, the market takes a 15% hit. The KSE 100 bleeds. The task-based investor views investing as a chore wedged between errands and work. When the market drops, the task feels pointless and they quietly abandon it. But the identity-based investor doesn't just invest. They view themselves as the kind of person who builds wealth patiently. The market drop doesn't threaten their self-concept. They stay on autopilot. Setbacks become detours, not dead ends. This perfectly captures Warren Buffett's most famous advice. The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. Think about the most financially successful founders and investors you'll ever meet. They use incredibly boring language. They don't say, "I hustled today." They say, "I just show up." That flatness isn't a lack of passion. It's actual proof their habit has migrated away from fragile motivation and deep into the sturdy architecture of their identity. Section 3. The hidden cost of friction, or the invisible surrender. Now, dig one layer deeper and you find something else entirely. Even identity-driven systems can quietly bleed out for one purely mechanical reason: decision friction. This is the invisible toll of the small, continuous choices required to keep a goal alive. Every single extra decision you make quietly draws down a limited reserve of your cognitive energy. It's the meal prep container that never gets opened, the freelance invoice sitting in your drafts folder, the manual portfolio transfer you promised you'd do on Friday. Look at how this plays out over time. At month 1, willpower is sky high for both the manual saver and the automated saver. But by month 6, the manual saver faces severe decision fatigue. They have to actively choose to save 12 times a year, indefinitely, with zero room for a bad week. By month 12, the manual saver has given up, while the automated saver succeeds purely on autopilot, relying on absolutely nothing but the passage of time. But wait a second, what if you've automated everything, anchored your identity, and you still feel like you're failing? This is where most people make a critical misdiagnosis. They think their mechanics are broken, when in reality, they are suffering from a very modern form of emotional exhaustion. Section 4. The comparison problem and the infinite sample size. This right here is the silent killer of modern ambition. As Leon Festinger noted back in the 1950s, humans instinctively measure their own worth and progress against the people around them. But here is the massive fundamental shift we have to recognize. In the 1950s, the people around them meant a small, local neighborhood, your coworkers or your family. Today, that sample size is functionally infinite, and it never, ever sleeps. Young founders don't quit because they are actually stalling out. They quit because they log onto LinkedIn, see a competitor's algorithm-boosted highlight reel announcing a massive seed round, and mistakenly assume they are impossibly behind. They compare their own messy, crooked 18 months of progress to a stranger's highly curated straight line.
Section 5. The architecture of persistence, designing the endgame.
So how do we actually fix this? We follow a 4-step playbook. 1. Plan for motivation to die. It's a starting mechanism, not a maintenance tool. 2. Anchor to identity. Decide who you are, not just what you want. 3. Ruthlessly automate to shrink the difficulty of the action so willpower barely needs to show up at all. And 4. Block out the noise. Stop comparing your reality to a curated algorithm. Because the uncomfortable truth is, the people who make it to the summit were never immune to losing motivation. Every single one of them lost it, right on schedule, at their own mile 6. They stood exactly where you might be standing right now, feeling completely empty. But they didn't panic. They just stopped needing it to keep walking. Which leads us directly to what you can do right now. Automate one single decision today. Shift your language to identity, and change one tiny default between you and the person you are trying to become. If this explainer shifted how you view your own goals, hit subscribe. Our next explainer goes even deeper into how the wealthiest people on Earth design their lives. So ask yourself, what is the one single point of friction you can eliminate today so you never have to rely on willpower tomorrow?